Do you have the Cortina bullet flow system and want to have a cool add-on that lets you sort bullets faster and easier than you've ever seen? I'm going to show you just the trick. And this is it. If you have it, you're familiar with it. It's the bullet flow system. It has a special shell plate down here that holds your bullets in place like this. And then up here you have a bullet feed that is going to let you either manually put bullets in or connect it to a Mr. Bullet Feeder that I have up above. And then it also has a bullet extractor that you can put in that will allow the bullets to then come out and feed through a tube system if you want. But he's now added in this basically like a bullet comparator. And let me take it out to show you. On the surface it looks pretty simple. It's got a collet on the top that will fit most of your standard, like dial or digital indicators that you might have from other tools laying around. If not, he sells a nice one with the kit. And that's just going to go in through the collet system on the top. But on the bottom, it's pretty nice because he's got this, let me show you. So it's a little add-on, that way you don't have to keep buying multiple dies. It just threads on, but what it is it is a caliber specific centering stem basically, or I don't know, call it, I guess, more than anything, but or bushing. But there's just enough clearance for the bullet to go in, okay? But it keeps it nice and centered so that when it's going up, you can see that it is going to get a very stable, perfectly, well, as close to perfect as you can get, indication on the indicator, and it's not going to be wobbling left or right or anything like that. Something else that you might want to do if you have one of these indicators is to pick up, and I'll put a link in the description below, but there is a flat indicator that you screw into the, you can change out, I'll show you on this other indicator because it's hard to see up inside this die. But on your indicators on the stem, these unscrew, and they make a ton of different attachments, but it's a 448 thread, and again, I've got a link in the description below for a flat piece that you can go on there. The round will work, and I've done sorting with the round, but I prefer the flat simply because it, it's got a flat surface, so no matter where the bullet hits, it's a little, I think, a little bit more consistent, but either way will work. And then how do we set it up? Well, the way that I like to do it, and I think probably I should step back on how I sort bullets now, and it's probably going to be contradictory to what you might believe, is that I only sort into 2 batches of 5/1000ths apart, and then I have an under and I have an over. So if you look, and these are boxes that that I had in my last sort, I have 1 box for under. Okay. I have 1 box for 16 to 20, and that's thousandths. And I'll explain why I'm at that number here in a minute. I had 21 to 25, and then I have an over box. Now, normally these would be over on my left side, but with camera equipment and lights and stuff, it's just not practical because of how my bench is laid out. So they're just sitting over here on the right side for me to put bullets in as we're doing this. And the way that I achieve that is by using, if I can find it, I've got this slug that I made, and I actually need to get some more Sharpie on it so I don't lose it here. But it is ground down. I took it to sandpaper, and I took like 20 thousandths off the top. And the reason that I did that is so that none of these other bullets will ever be as short as this one. And it lets me use this as a gauge, like an indicator, to get it set up so that everything on the indicator itself is going to be a positive number. And here's why that matters. I used to sort, years ago, I used to sort to kind of the middle. Like I'd measure 10 or 20 bullets, I would find the middle, and then there would be a negative range and a positive range, because I would zero whatever tool I was using, I would zero it to the middle of that pack. So then you'd have a -1, -4, +1, +5, -6, whatever. But the problem is you get a little brain dead doing thousands of these at a time, and I typically do somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 bullets, depending on what time of year it is. And you get a little brain numb to it, and it's really easy if you're not paying attention to throw a -2 into the +2 or a -6 into the +6. Whatever it is, it ain't good when that happens, and especially if you're having it happen more than once, then you're introducing potentially a bigger variability than grabbing just a bigger section at a time on the positive side. And even if you're sorting by the thousandths, I would still recommend creating a short bullet so that everything is positive. Now this last batch measured out so that my bulk of the bullets were somewhere between, 16 and 25, and then I split that in the middle. And sometimes I will do that by, and I'll show you how I test it here, but I might do 10 or 15 bullets, and then, maybe the highest was, let's say, 25. Well, there's bound to be something above it, but I'm also going to keep in mind as I'm doing this, like how many 25s were there, or 24s, or 23s. If I get a lot of 16, 17, 18s, and then I get a 12, well, I'm not going to base my boxes on the anomaly. The anomaly needs to go in the underboxes, so we're going to kind of keep that in mind as we do this here. So my machine's been calibrated and all the normal stuff I would need to do to fire it up. So what I want to do now is go ahead and turn this on, and I'm going to send this up. And then we're going to zero it. So it's still zeroed from last time. So let's go ahead and just zero it so everything looks good. And we're going to pull that down. Now in case you're wondering, just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. 0. 0. So you can see it's repeating. So that part I've got out of the way, and this stays in a little baggie. There's a weird thing, you saw me fumbling with this. There's a weird thing with the auto drive when you're trying to do die setup where sometimes you have to reset it with an end of cycle, and I haven't figured that out yet. And for as long as I've had it, it's just always been quirky with this die setup, and it's a new firmware that went on. So anyway, so I've got this zeroed out. Now, any bullet that I put in here should be on the positive side. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab a handful of bullets, and I don't know, I've got whatever, 8 or 10 or something in here. And now we're just going to run. And I'm just going to keep a mental note here. So there's 19. So 16 to 19 is my range right now. 16 to 23. I'm still 16 to 23. Still 16 to 23. Yeah, that was 17. 16 to 23 still. So it looks like this batch is going to be pretty much in the same range as the last batch I did. There's 23 again. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and grab a few more. I grabbed out of the bottom of my pile here. 13, okay. 17 again. Anyway, you get the idea. You can do as many as you want to get some kind of idea of where you're at, but I feel like I've got a pretty good idea with this batch where we're at. So my high was 25, my low was 13. There were some 23s in there. So I don't know, like there really wasn't a lot under 16. So in this case, I'll probably just leave my bins the same and just go 16 to 20 and then 21 to 25, and then I'd have unders and overs. Keeping in mind, those unders are still going to be within probably a 6,000 group. So they're still good for shooting. There's just going to be less of them, and I'm going to use them for, maybe load development or local club matches, stuff like that. But what it does is creates a giant pile in the middle for me to work with. And I only like doing this a couple times a year. I'd really like to get it down to once a year. And I might, now that I've got this system running, I've got the measuring and everything else, I I may just go ahead and do this once a year and just do, probably 6,000 or 7,000 bullets at the beginning of the year and be done with it, because there is nothing worse than getting ready for a match and then having to do bullet prep on top of brass prep and loading. So I like having bullets ready to go in some capacity, whether they're already sorted at a minimum or hopefully sorted and pointed. But either way, you got to have bullets ready to go, because I don't want to have to convert the press just to do 100 bullets, because you got to change the shell plate and you got to do a couple other things. So a system like this really lends itself to doing big batches of bullets at a time, which I think is really where it shines. So now that we've got our idea of where we want to be, life's easy. We're going to simply go ahead and put bullets up here in our bullet feeder, because I don't think I have any up there. Okay, so we're just going to throw a quick handful up there for the video. So we're starting to get bullets loaded in here now. And I'm just going to get 5 or 6 or 7 in here, whatever it's going to load up for me, and then I'll show you. Alright, so that went ahead and shut off. I'll go ahead and turn it off so we don't have to listen to the motor turning. So now that we've got bullets loaded up in our feeder here, obviously if I was doing this I would just keep the feeder running. But now our goal is to simply watch the dial and go from there. So it's going to be picking up a bullet back here on station 1. It's going to take a minute obviously to get around. And here goes the first one. So 16. And I'm just throwing them in the box. 19, so that's going to go in the same box. I do like to run this on the slowest setting just for safety purposes. I've got the clutch turned way down. You got to be careful. You can't be an idiot running one of these things. Anything that's automated, could hurt you. I didn't see the reading on that one, so I'm going to run it back through here. I think it was 17. Yeah, 17. All right. So you get the idea. I'm not going to belabor it with running a bunch of them, but very simple, very effective. You could probably find a way to incorporate the extractor or the extractor die. You just have to remember that the bullet you measured is going to come out 4 bullets later, so you'd have to have a system for that. But honestly, just pulling them out. And like I said, when I have my setup over here on the left, it's very easy for me to just throw bullets in, and it's just very simple. I can throw in some music and just keep an eye on the dial, and I sort away. Once I've done all that, then I would obviously put back in my pointing die system, and I'd go back through and I'd point everything. The only other thing that I should mention is that I am using this on a lockdown tool head from Armanoff. I do enjoy their dies simply because there are times where you don't want any shimmy. Like these you get a little bit of deflection in the tool heads, and that will obviously make a difference on how it's measuring if it is wiggling a little bit. So by locking down this die, it really gives you, you saw how repeatable it was. I mean, it's when you do it right, it's very repeatable, and that's what is important to me. So if you are in the market to upgrade your Dillon with another tool and you want to sort bullets with it, I would definitely give the Cortina sorting die a hard look. And if you don't have the bullet flow system already, the whole package really makes life easy. I cannot express to you enough the pointing system. It's just incredible to be able to load up bullets and just watch them dump out. It's amazing. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good day. We'll talk later.